Hey everyone, welcome to Halloweek. If you don't know what this is, a week before Halloween, 5 weekdays to be more precise, I do little Halloween DIYs. I'll leave a link to the playlists for the last 2 years up here and down below in the description box. And I'll also be leaving my Halloween playlist and costumes and stuff like that down below, up there. So if you guys don't see what you're looking for, you might be able to find it in those. Sorry this is a day late. You've probably seen me worrying about whether or not I could get Halloweek done at all the past few videos. So hopefully this doesn't come as a big surprise. So instead of posting this yesterday, obviously I'm posting it now, and then I'm going to also post one on Saturday. Normally I don't post them on the weekends, but since I kind of got bumped back a little bit, I will be posting on Saturday. So it'll be today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Monday. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do a pumpkin carving. I'm a fan of doing the ones where you kind of go deeper or more shallow, and then when you put the light in, it kind of looks shaded. So I wanted to show you guys how you can do it as well. So let's get started. You'll need a serrated knife, clay carving tools, which include some looped wire tools, an awl, a utility knife, a vegetable peeler, etc. A pumpkin, a pattern, tape, a marker, a trash bag, a flashlight, and or whatever you're going to use to light your pumpkin. First, cut the top of the pumpkin and scoop the innards out. One thing I like to do is to cut around at an angle and also to cut out a notch so that it easily matches up later and won't fall back into the pumpkin. Just make sure that you do the notch in the back, especially if you're going to cut one out that's as big of a notch as I did. You can also extend the notch down a lot further so that it's easier to get your lights in and out of the pumpkin. I also like to save the pumpkin seeds so that I can make them into yummy snacks later. Once that part is done, it's time to decorate. If you have a pattern, tape it onto your pumpkin. I'm going with a Stranger Things themed pumpkin with the Demogorgon. I figured if people aren't in the know, then it would just look like a weird flower or something. Anyway, use an awl or a pin or something like that and poke holes all the way around the design. Remove the pattern. It can be kind of hard to see the poked design afterwards, especially if the design is particularly intricate, so you can go back and trace over the design with a marker. I did this especially so that it would be a lot easier to see on video. I also marked around to mark out where the background will be. Peel off the skin for the background. This is a little bit tricky to get started. Just be careful and stick with it. You can see that I kept switching tools depending on what I needed at the time. Some parts of the pumpkin are relatively flat, while others are more bumpy, curved, etc. So you just need to switch to whatever works for that part. I ended up mostly using a craft knife with the blade extended kind of far. Once the skin is off of the background, you can use the loop tools to start carving and defining it more. These tools are typically pretty dull, so they're only really useful once you remove the skin. On the lighter, fleshy part of the pumpkin, they work really well, so you shouldn't have a problem after you remove the skin. I used my loop tools to remove a bit of the pumpkin, trying to stay as even as possible. One thing you can do while you carve is to stick your flashlight in and turn down the lights so that you can see exactly how what you're carving will show up as. This also helps to make sure you're not going too thin to where you may break through the pumpkin. If that's not what you're going for, then obviously it would really suck to break through the pumpkin because there's no going back after that. Anyway, once I removed enough of the background, I then removed the skin from the flap or petally part of the Demogorgon's mouth. I'm keeping the skin here in the middle because I wanted that to be the darkest spot, and leaving the skin there will give me that effect. The pumpkin wall will be the thickest there, and it will have the skin, so it'll block out most of the light. Anyway, then I used my tools to carve the mouth out more. I wanted the bits close to the hole in the middle to be light, and then fade to a darker shade as it went out to the ends of the flaps, or petals, or whatever you call them. To do this, I carved out more in the middle bits, and then I left the outer edges pretty thick. Like before, I used the trick of sticking the flashlight in and turning the lights down as I carved so I could see what I was doing. And here's how it looked after I finished doing each flap. At this point, I decided to add some simple trees to the background. and by simple, I mean literally just a few straight stripes at various widths. And then for the final touch, I attempted to add the teeth. These would need to be the largest part of the pumpkin, so they had to be carved as holes that go straight through. Once you think you're done, stick the final light in. I had these jack-o'-lantern lights that are supposed to mimic a flickering candle. Put one of those, or a real candle, or whatever, inside, and turn the lights out and check out your creation. For me, my flashlight was way more powerful than the light that I planned on keeping in the pumpkin, so my design turned out way darker than it was when I carved it. I also saw some spots that needed more refinement. So I went back and touched up a few spots, and then to help it be a bit brighter, I doubled up on the lights, and that seemed to have helped. And here it is. I really wish I had a bit more time to work on this thing. I wasn't that happy with how it turned out, but I'm hoping at least someone gets the reference to this thing. I hope this tutorial at least helped you understand some of the basics on how to do a more complex pumpkin carving, and I hope you were able to pick up some tips and tricks. I hope you guys enjoyed day number 1 of Halloweek. I'm not really happy with how the jack-o'-lantern turned out. I'm a big perfectionist and I had it look different in my head. I hope I was still able to teach you guys some techniques that you can use for your future pumpkin carvings. Alright, I'll see you guys tomorrow.